Hey, everybody, it's What the Flick. Welcome, Ben Mankiewicz, Brett Erlich. John Iadarola is back. John, welcome back from your vacation in Missouri.
God. I didn't know what I was going to do.
I was falling apart, actually.
So let me understand this. You went on vacation in Missouri and watched television with your friends the whole time?
Yeah.
All right.
I watched, no.
What the flick?
I watched some movies, too.
Okay, all right.
And reality TV, which I never watched.
Were you at the lake or something
I'm
at least, or were you
invested in
just like,
what I asked.
like in Ferguson?
Nope, just
was
in
the lake.
Lee's Summit, Missouri. We played tennis 3 times. That was the only exercise I got, and I gained 9 pounds.
Nice.
Really?
A week.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
It was fun.
amazing.
It was
Good
fun.
for you.
Yeah, it turns out that if you just eat snacks and pizza and drink beer all day long for 9 days, you will gain weight.
Right. All right. Good
It was
to know.
fun. It was fun. I feel
Noted.
refreshed.
Good for you.
This is episode 5. There are only 3 left, so it is fitting that we've at least now finally, it took this long to at least set up the thing that's going to happen.
Yeah, right?
You know, I mean, here we are for the last 3, and it's what we thought was going to happen.
That
The 3
it's-
detectives working sort of almost as private investigators.
This is exactly how I used to write my papers in college. Just like, all right, it has to be 15 pages.
Right, here's 12 pages of
When in the course of human events it becomes, it is a lot of just, let me get 7 pages down before I really get to what I need to say.
Well, and also, it's sort of, to some extent, at least in setting up what's going to happen in this second half-ish, it's sort of repeating itself. Like, it's the same elements that we already knew existed, but now we're going back to them again.
They're like, this time it has a dun-dun-dun quality.
Yeah.
Well,
But that said, I am more excited now. Like, I feel finally invested in the characters. I didn't find most of them interesting in the first half, but now I think that they all have something going for them. By the way, so I wasn't here for the last week, so I had to catch up.
Did
I
you
watched
watch
both.
our review of it last week? You probably didn't.
I didn't see the review yet, but I watched both the last 2 episodes back to back. I really liked the shootout. I found it really interesting and jarring.
I liked the shootout too. We were pretty. We're not going to go back into it. We were pretty critical in general of the show up until that point. We all liked the shootout. It was fun. There was a arcade-like quality to the civilian shooting.
Yeah, you don't see that a lot. But anyway, I feel like I am ready now for these last 3 episodes.
To be over.
No, but like Velcoro, like I really like what they've done with him, that as everyone else's life has been sort of falling apart, his is too, and yet physically and emotionally and psychologically and in terms of his habits, he is in the most secure, it seems like, state that he's been.
Yeah, he looks
up
better.
until he finds
Like,
out about the
literally
rapist.
slicking back his hair.
Yeah, he's taking control of his life. Even his interaction with his son that we saw was the healthiest interaction he's had.
Brett, you're still off the reservation.
I am not off the reservation. Here's what happened in this episode. The experience of watching this episode was one of, similarly, okay, now I'm on track. I'm back on track. We literally have gone to each person, said, are you still want to be a police officer?
Right.
And they said, 2 of them said yes, and one said, if I can get my son back, yes. And I like, what's his name, Barksdale's mom. I like the, I like the, what is she, the Attorney General? I don't trust her.
I perhaps don't trust her because she was in the White House. She's Barksdale's mom, right?
I'm gonna kill myself trying to figure out the name of the bald Barksdale nephew. Anyhow,
the one who she was the mom of, who got killed in prison,
oh, spoiler alert,
or didn't.
or might not have. Anyway, so
Yeah.
I like this.
D began with a D. She called him D.
I like the D'Angelo. Yes. I like
her.
I like the governor. I like the governor aspect of it, the guy who's running for governor. I finally understand that there's been a poisoned tract of land that mysteriously has, now been bought up for a high-speed railway. Like all the poisoning, I always heard that. I didn't care.
So they poisoned the land to drive down the value and then
so
bought it
that
up
you
for the
can
railway.
buy it up for
And
the
then
railway.
and might have very well killed the guy who was running the company that poisoned
Oh,
it.
they did kill the guy. Someone killed the guy who was running.
I like that line, never seen him finish a beer. I like that. as a
Yeah,
way
it was a
of,
nice
like,
little...
very
That was
quickly
great.
summarizing his
there
life.
there were some really great bits of writing in this. And so I liked it. And then it ended.
It ended, I think, on a high note. I mean, that's leading up to a potentially very strong conflict.
And what was the end? Just them...
The history of Vince Vaughn and Colin Farrell.
Oh, at the door. It ended
Yeah,
at the door.
At the door. And it was the history of them is the reason that Colin Farrell is in Vince Vaughn's pocket is because Vince Vaughn helped Colin Farrell find the guy that raped Colin Farrell's wife.
So it took Colin Farrell 5 episodes to figure out what was very clear to us The first episode was like, oh, that guy didn't do it.
Yeah. Although
he just had you kill somebody else.
It definitely seems as if Vince Vaughn lied and said, I have this guy just to get him, but he could have been wrong.
Look, and in this case, if it was a guy Vince Vaughn wanted to kill, this might be one of the rare situations of, well, he probably did something else pretty terrible.
Probably.
But nonetheless, what I thought was interesting is that the moment when they all agree to work together, and we get and D'Angelo's mom reveals that in fact that the guy they caught the real rapist, and we get the push in on Colin Farrell, who's that moment where you're thinking, please everyone leave because I'm seconds from breaking down. Right?
That was great.
A parallel of Taylor Kitsch outside of the bus stop or whatever.
Right.
He's just losing his mind over what had happened to him that night.
But I thought the episode was unquestionably over at that push. And then there was like, oh, look, no, 14 more minutes.
Yeah, I was fine. Yeah.
No, I was glad.
Speaking of Taylor Kitsch, I find that was the most intense 2 minutes of acting in a trailer I've seen. And trailers are home
Yeah.
to a lot of intense acting sequences.
Yeah, that was that was good. That was good. And I mean,
some weird dialogue there.
That's his mom.
That's his mom. Lolita Davidovich, is that who that is?
Sure. And she stole his money.
She stole his money, and then, I mean, again, the warped reasoning, she's like, well, you left it there, and I just figured that was, you knew I lost my...
I like that dynamic.
I hid it for you to find.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
But as someone pointed out, I always read like a bunch of people's different takes on the episodes. They point out it's kind of heavy-handed symbolism that he'd been hiding this secret in the closet for years, and that turned out badly.
Yeah, that's right. No, he hid it in the closet.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, it's good.
That's absolutely right.
That's 100% right.
And who hides something like in a closet? Like over 4 years, someone's going to get bored or frustrated with how messy they are, and they're going to clean the closet.
Once every 4 years.
Yeah. 4 years is a good amount of time. Every new administration.
On our previous review, I mentioned that I watched rather oddly the last hour to Bridget Jones's Diary, just because it was on Showtime, right, which was left over from watching Masters of Sex and Ray Donovan. I then later watched the first hour of The General's Daughter with Madeline Stowe and John Travolta, which I'd also seen. And they have a moment where they're investigators investigating the death of the General's daughter, and they go down into the basement, right, because they're at her house. And they look around the basement for 45 seconds, and then they're like, well, there's nothing here. And I'm like, oh my God, it's the freaking basement. Everything is there. You can't leave. And then they see something, and it turns out, yes, everything was there. Yeah.
So next week, tune in for not only our review of True Detective, but the beginning of Big with Tom Hanks.
Good movie. So there were a couple things I wanted to bring up. One, what did you think about they don't have a lot of moments of humor, really, or not intentional humor. Sometimes the dialogue is funny, but it's not intended to be funny.
Yeah.
And I actually liked I've got blue balls in my heart. I like that line. But what did you think about the sexual harassment class that we saw and the little joke of her? I didn't like that. I felt like they've been trying to portray her in this very specific way to be this strong character. And I saw, I don't want them to overly sexualize her. And that seemed like a weird, forced version of trying to get a joke and trying to inject sexuality into a character. That
I don't think it was her being sexual at all. I know she's talking about dicks. I think she was satirizing the entire situation.
No, I understand that.
And in saying something that that was sexually charged, she wasn't like, it would be sexual if she was like if she was using if she did actually just love big dicks and that was the reason there, or she was using that to get the guy to be sexually interested in her and then use that to get out of the training session.
Yeah, I thought it made her seem bigger than everybody else there. I mean, because it was a great line of the guys, no, let her finish, right? That's funny, that's good. But those guys become... If you ever had a moment thinking, oh, maybe these guys got put here for a terrible reason, like they didn't do anything majorly wrong, they gave the wrong person a hug, then you realize, oh, no, they're all there because they're cretins and they have no business on a police force.
Right.
And they're hideous. And that, to me, that was incredibly uncomfortable in that very moment where they were like, no, let her finish. Then you're like, oh, man, that's horrible.
Okay. And that all fits with her character anyway, who is someone who knows that she's different from the boys. And she uses different tactics to make up for that.
That's right.
Such as her knives, and she's in this room with a bunch of boys, and they can't,
Oh, that reminds me too. I know that we're not going to retread the other episode. I wish I'd been here for it, but I love the little moment of they have her pull out her knife, and she doesn't actually have to use it. But I like that potentially setting up for some sort of violent conflict, perhaps she's going to now go undercover to one of these sex parties, and they had that great line of if you mess with pimps, pimpish stuff happens to you. And now she's going to be willingly going in there, and she probably can't bring a gun, but maybe she can bring a knife.
No, she's going to gut somebody. I think that's pretty clear.
One can only hope.
One can,
it's not impossible. Like we had sort of a false start of thinking one of the main characters was going to die. It's still not impossible that one of them will. And it could well be her.
It could be all three. It's
it could be all three, yeah.
I got no problem.
And
also,
have
they
them in
almost
that
have to
torture
make
room.
up for season 1 and the non-deaths in season 1. We just got some humanity. We got some humanity from Colin Farrell in finding out that he killed an honest person, an innocent man. He doesn't explain it to his wife. He doesn't even want to put that burden on her, which I liked. He tried it, and then he was like, Frank set me up. I don't even know what that means. He doesn't explain it. I like that. We got humanity from Rachel McAdams with her sister. Like, look, her sister got in California School of the Arts or whatever it is. And
although
she's
kind of using her in that entire scene.
Using her, but making it clear, like, you're just going to set up this meeting and then I'm going. Like, you're not going.
The reason that I think that stands out is that she's been trying to push her sister out of that life for this long, and she's willing to have her sister re-engage with these people.
Yeah.
There's some risk to that. You can't necessarily just set up a meeting.
There's some risk to it, but to me it was like, look, there's value in it. I need you. Like, and so, which I imagine her sister was pretty happy to help. But yeah, of course, the danger is their sister's like, I started talking about it. They said I can make $3,000 in a weekend. You know what? I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I'm not completely 100% sold still on Vince Vaughn's performance. I vowed to Alonzo that I would watch it with new eyes this week. I'm not 100% sold on it, though I do like the grown-up relationship between
It's the only healthy relationship anybody's in, and it's extremely healthy. Yeah,
they communicate.
Yeah, right.
And that's great. And I know that part of the communication this week was divulging that she had been keeping something from him.
Yeah.
Her surgeries. But I really just enjoy that. And then there's something about a show like this where I felt when she walked out of the basement of the bar, I said out loud, I'm like, that's the last time you'll ever see her.
No, and then
I don't know, maybe the Mexican guys are gonna kill your wife.
Right. Do you think? No, those Mexican guys left. They're done.
Right, they left.
He said, "Get out," and they got out.
Get out of here,
Yeah.
Keystone. What is this? What did he call him? Cisco Kid.
Cisco Kid.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
I thought that guy was gonna do
that's
something.
That's the kind of stupid line that it's just like it's not funny. He's not saying it. It's a ridiculous line. But he's not looking at him and it's like this weird.
I like the doors in the same place.
It's this Vince Vaughn delivering other Vince Vaughn lines.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, but I do continue to like that. Like this, I've heard that the first season tends to be much like you have unreliable narrators and all that, and you can't tell exactly what's real. And this show doesn't have that sort of throughout, but it does have, even though it's more grounded, it has dialogue that I think sends a clue that this is not supposed to be taken 100% literally. That this isn't a real world because people don't actually talk like that. Like it may just be awkward, but it's awkward in such a specific way that I think it's a tool. I don't think that it's a mistake.
Well, they definitely seem like tools sometimes.
They do.
I don't like that. Even hearing that and trying to think of how it applies, I just don't. I don't think that's good.
Okay, you don't.
The unreliable narrator aspect of the first series,
which I haven't seen,
was fantastic. It just serves to have, it's like creepy The Office.
You didn't watch the first series? I thought
no.
That's weird.
It's like The Office with no jokes. That's what it is.
You were just hanging out with your friends and you rewatched 18 episodes Game of Thrones?
Yeah, the girl that was hanging out with us hadn't seen them. That's why we watched them all.
Yeah. Girls allowed.
And then I had to watch Chopped.
All of a sudden there were girls there, the whole thing becomes different.
Straight. Anyway.
I don't know. There's still a degree, we also had Ray beating the crap out of Rick Springfield.
Yes.
Great natural dialogue there, too.
Let me tell you something. He got Jesse's girl back. He made it very clear.
And
that's what should have played when he started hitting him. We should go recut that. It's like, you're so weak, it belies your lack thereof. Oh yeah.
And they brought the Russian guy back in there. I'm assuming that was the Russian guy.
What's Catalyst? I don't know. Catalyst is see, that's the problem. It's the company that bought up all the land.
That was the Russian guy, right? That we saw?
Yeah, that was the Russian guy, yeah. That was not Viggo Mortensen.
That's his name. It's not Viggo Mortensen.
But Yeah, I don't understand. I still don't quite get. I mean, obviously, Catalyst is just the giant company, and they own the mayor. That mayor is almost too evil. And I guess the mayor's son, we saw that family, their dysfunctional house. We're getting back the mayor's son. That's who sets up the sex parties. We have a state senator. So they've set up a significant degree, and maybe the suggestion that somehow the Catalyst, the people with money, bought off the attorney general to call off the investigation, and then they're funding his campaign for governor.
Right.
So I guess I do understand it, because I just explained it, but it still seems I'm not a big. I don't like how it was presented. It felt a little, big summer release, peculiar, generic, evil company conspiracy.
Yeah, I get that. So what are we looking forward to the most in the last 3 episodes?
I want to see them grow. I mean, I'm vested. I want. First of all, I want the paternity test to come back, and it turns out no. It's his kid. That would be great.
I don't know how it's
like,
possible,
no, you made this strange redhead baby. Like, right? We discussed that could happen.
He's Irish.
Right.
possible.
That's right. He's Irish, right? It's a redhead. It turns out he's like, oh yeah, my grandfather had red hair. You know, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I want to see what happens with Vince Vaughn. I want to see if he can somehow get through this and back out of that whole world. Like in the very beginning, he had already sort of moved on from that world. Or if the stuff that he's done in the past or the stuff that he's doing now to get back on top is going to sink him. Like I do find his character interesting.
And what kind of a relationship are he and Ray going to have? I mean, is it still going to be? Is it going to be a relationship of equals? Are they going to be flat out enemies? Is he going to explain why he did it? Is he going to say, "Hey, look, you killed this terrible guy who was trying to blackmail me"? Or is there going to be some bond there, some shared thing that sort of makes Ray a little more powerful? Or are they just about to be enemies?
Are we going to get like a moment in the redemption story of Vince Vaughn where he is reluctantly going back into the underworld, but that whole narrative is one where the guy has a moral maybe not a moral compass, but at least he's trying to develop a code. He's trying to clean up his act. I wonder if in his attempt to get out of that, he's going to die for something.
In the history of literature or art, no one has been a non-criminal, gone deep into the criminal world to make a lot of money, gone out, gone back in successfully.
Right.
Like, it's never happened.
Exactly.
Vince Vaughn is dead.
That's what I'm thinking.
Vince Vaughn dies. And also because that relationship, because he's the one with the real relationship with Kelly Riley. She's so good. I mean, I wonder how his scenes would be if there were a lesser performer there. I mean, I think she's phenomenal in this. But she almost has to be left. Or, weirdly, he lives, but she dies, ruining him.
And then
what does he have?
Right.
Even if he gets the money.
He doesn't care.
I want to
So
see.
maybe, he gets the house, but it's meaningless to him.
I want to see Rachel McAdams and Colin Farrell get together.
Yeah, I know. So stupid, but so do I.
much.
Yeah,
By the way, she switched back to regular cigarettes and nobody mentioned it.
Oh, she did go back to regular cigarettes?
Yeah, she was smoking a regular
you're
cigarette.
right,
What
I
happened to
forgot
the robot blowjobs?
Yeah.
That's right. Maybe that was enough to get
Maybe
her
in
out.
the 2 months.
I like that,
it.
and that's the last thing I say is I like the narrative device of just, all right, we're not going to explain how they got there. We're just going to say where they are next. After the shootout.
After 2 months.
We're 2 months later. This is where they are. I really like that.
Yeah, I like that too, and I did. There are a couple things like that just very quickly. Sometimes the writing is strong. It still feels super pretentious, the whole show. Manner in which it's shot, there are moments where I find enormous pretension. We're making, it's an HBO cop show, and they're like, no, we are making, look at this. This is a art house movie. And I don't think that's inconsistent. Then a couple of, I didn't like when she left and you thought she was going to get jumped by the Mexicans, and instead they come back and they watch, Point Blank on TCM, but we get to see, excuse me. But when Vince Vaughn, then he makes the drink, and then he very pronouncedly, I'm nitpicking, but he slams it down and doesn't drink it. I got it. He's making a decision. Easy. And then Taylor
But that's
Kitsch,
Blue Label.
right? And then Taylor Kitsch, when he's with Rachel McAdams and they're walking, and he's like, "Oh, now we're following birds." I'm like, maybe you shouldn't be in the field, okay? The birds are circling. She thinks there's a body. I know this, and then the smell. And he's still not. He's still as we're walking through. He's still completely clueless as to what's going on.
That is the trope of detective shows where it's like what is it? It's another John Mulaney reference from our other show. He has this thing where he watches CSI, and Ice-T he's been doing it for 20 years. He said, like, wait a minute. You're telling me this guy gets off having sex with kids? It's like yeah, that's the show you've been on for 20 years. It's a great bit. But I like that they walked on to the interrogation cabin from The Leftovers.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
That's like they walk into a different HBO show. It is a leftover from The Leftovers. I thought that was awesome.
So, look, in the end, yeah, I'm into it. I like it, and I, you know, I do. I want them to get together, which I usually don't care about at all. But
Yeah.
I'm totally into that. But I don't think it's going to end well for any of them.
You don't think that he's going to be a good father to his new child
God,
as
I'm
he
in love with
I'm
her.
desperately drinks
I'm
his
gonna
Long Island
predict
iced teas?
death for all 3 of the cops
All 3.
and Kelly Riley in Survival.
But not Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn's the only one.
But as you
I
said,
like this. Who lives, who dies?
You know,
We can update it after the next episode.
I mean,
a
and
really
a lot,
good
and don't get me
question.
wrong, and a lot of bad guys.
I think Taylor Kitsch is going to I'm not getting anything out of this arc, the Taylor Kitsch arc. I like that scene, I guess, but of all the people I care about his character the least.
Me too.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell, Rachel McAdams, they die while having sex together. Vince Vaughn. I prefer, thinking it through, I prefer Vince Vaughn survives and his wife dies.
Yeah.
I
sadder.
wouldn't have said that, but now I really like that idea. So I'm going to go with that.
All right,
I
good,
think
I got
that
you.
Taylor dies. He's too troubled. He's not going to move past that. She lives, but her sister dies because she brought her sister back in. And I think that he'll die. To me, it feels like he has been getting back to himself over the course of this, and I don't think they're going to let that
What
happen.
about this? Colin Farrell does not get together with Rachel McAdams, gets together with Taylor Kitsch.
I'm fine with that. I'd watch that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Hello.
All right, we got to go back. Only 3 like this is it.
3.
We're in the stretch drive. 3 episodes of True Detective to go. Thanks, everybody.